are joined today by
J.R. Romano.
J.R. Romano here. Thanks for tuning in. Obviously, nationally, the only thing that has been going on has been this impeachment inquiry, the sham of all shams. I think the saddest part about this whole impeachment thing is, number one, there's a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings, and I believes, and I think, and it was my understanding. What we have not seen, and I touched on this last week, and it appears as though the Democrats in Congress are refusing to take up the U.S., Canadian, Mexico trade agreement deal. It could mean billions of dollars in GDP growth. It means jobs. It means Americans are more secure financially. And all the Democrats want to talk about is how lifelong bureaucrats feel about things or think about things. And that's all that we've established. And what I am so proud of is that they're seeing now the polling that has come out would appear as though the American people are not happy with what's happening in Washington, D.C. And I'm not surprised, considering some of the circus that has occurred. And it truly has been a circus. And I just want to highlight Senator Chris Murphy. Now, Chris has said publicly that Hunter Biden getting $3 million from a corrupt energy company in Ukraine is perfectly fine. I mean, it doesn't matter that your father's the vice president and you had no experience in that sector at all. No. That's completely fine. There's no wrongdoing, no impropriety. He has actually said that it's okay for the children of elected officials in high power positions to be given special treatment by other countries and be put on boards. And apparently, and I don't know how true this is, but my understanding is there may be a situation where these companies were getting money from the federal government, our government, and of course, he's getting paid $50,000 a month. So, Chris, I love how you don't think there's any impropriety with that, and seamlessly will attack any Republican that disagrees with you on a multitude of things. But what I find most fascinating about Chris Murphy, I have a little story. A birdie told me that Chris Murphy, who recently moved, and I'm not going to say the community because I don't want to be accused of doxing or trying to hurt this guy, but I know that the press is sussing it out. But Chris recently moved to a community and registered to vote. But when you register to vote, the registrars do a canvassing. And Chris didn't return any mail. Apparently, the mail that basically verifying that you were in fact a resident of that town or that address. So Chris Murphy was moved to the inactive voter list. And when Chris decided, well, understandably, I mean, he's in Washington, D.C., he's a United States Senator. So when Chris submitted his absentee ballot, now, again, this is what I've been told, it was rejected because he is never confirmed his address in this community. So Senator Murphy did not technically vote in the last municipal cycle. His ballot was rejected by the local registrars and placed in a vault. This is what I'm being told. I do know that there are reporters sussing it out. But it is absolutely amazing that you have a senator that supposedly cares so much about his state, yet couldn't muster the time to look at his mail to verify the fact that he was a registered voter of his new town. Oh, the world we live in, and the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party. What else is going on? Oh, Scott Bates. Those that don't remember, Scott is embroiled in controversy surrounding a quasi-public agency, this Port Authority, where there was, I'm going to say, abuse of power. Contracts and deals were given to family members. There was no oversight on where the money was going. And we have certainly been calling on Scott Bates to resign because he currently serves as the Deputy Secretary of State. Based on the evidence that has come out in regards to this quasi-public agency and how it was run under Scott's leadership is downright scary. And the Democrats are defending him. I mean, this is what makes me laugh, is Democrats can misappropriate funds. They can give $1 million deals to their kids. No, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think, and if I remember correctly, I think first looking into, and Scott's being forced, and I'm going to say forced to testify in front of the legislature in regards to the just poor management, lack of fiscal control. And I'm sure he's going to blame and I'm going to guess what testimony is going to be. There were no requirements or restrictions, or there was no guidelines on how I should spend the money. It doesn't take guidelines to be ethical. You shouldn't be overpaying for artwork for a friend's daughter. I mean, that's basic ethics. And so this is what we know happened. And it's disturbing. And again, the Democrats have actually defended Scott and have hid him from the public. Denise Merrill has said nothing. They've praised him. And this was an entity that lost millions of taxpayer dollars. So we'll see what Scott has to say when he's testifying. And finally, tolls. I don't think that there is anyone in the state of Connecticut that trusts that the Democrats will spend the money on what they say that they're going to spend. And I'm a full support of Len Fasano's plan. I know it's scary for a lot of Democrats to not borrow and not demand more revenue from its taxpayers. But I think Len Fasano's plan is probably the best going forward. It keeps Connecticut, or it tries to keep Connecticut more fiscally solvent, and it doesn't burden the taxpayer, which is exactly what the Democrats' plan would be, which is, we're just going to do tolls and trucks and, whatever, these bridges, these 13 places. It's utterly ridiculous. Dan Malloy has condemned Len Fasano's plan. Governor Malloy, you are no longer our governor. You managed to completely decimate this state economically. If you're telling me Len Fasano's plan is not the right plan, that tells me it is, because you were utterly a failure as a governor. So for you to sit here and say it's the wrong direction we should go on based on where our Connecticut is fiscally, I'm going to tell everyone in the world, I'm going to scream it from the hilltops. If Dan Malloy says it's a no, we should all be doing exactly what Len Fasano says we should be doing. Because Dan Malloy was one of the biggest failures as governor that this state has seen. And I include Lowell Weicker in that. Dan Malloy was one of the biggest failures. And Ned Lamont is not far behind, because he's not showing the leadership to actually address these problems without burdening everyday hardworking families on a regular basis. And this toll issue is a prime example of that. And that's the truth. And what makes me laugh is you have a couple reporters, and I did talk to them. It was not a terse conversation, but I was a little upset at our dear friend Dan Haar. He implied, and I'm going to say this unequivocally, anyone listening to this, Senator George Logan, who is an amazing senator, we are so lucky to have him, has been adamant that he is anti-toll. He does not want to burden his constituents. He does not want to burden the families of this state with more money going to Hartford. And Dan implied in an article that somehow Senator Logan would be open to tolls. Unequivocally, George is not. The senator is a no. He's toured the state for months. I wish Dan had picked up the phone and asked me or the senator his opinion on tolls, but he did not. I've asked for them to do a retraction article. They have not done it yet. They may have by the time this airs. But I just want every Republican out there to know there's no wiggle room for Senator Logan. He is not going to burden the hardworking families of his district, which include my friends and family in the Valley, that Route 8 corridor. He's not going to burden anyone with what the Democrats want to force down our throats, which is tolling, which is more money out of our pockets. And I just wanted to kind of stand up for Senator Logan because he deserves it. He's been working tirelessly. So, but with that, first of all, I want to say thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I've gotten a lot of compliments. A couple people make fun of me, but I've gotten a lot of compliments because what we try to do here is provide an opportunity for people to hear our message as a party, uninterrupted, uninterpreted, and then hopefully it's a message that when we're sitting around our Thanksgiving Day table, and when we're talking to our friends and families about the issues facing us nationally or at the state level, is I'm hoping that, that we're providing some assistance in how to frame messages or how to better understand things or what's truly going on. The lines that are past the headlines. And I really hope that we're adding value. I do hear it often, and I'm greatly appreciative. But I just wanted to say, obviously, Thanksgiving, there's all these jokes about political conversations. I want everyone listening, always remain calm. We're not going to win over hearts and minds by yelling at people, yelling at our relatives, getting too passionate. Because I completely understand the fact that for Republicans, when we look at what's happening to our state, when we look at what's happening to our republic, and we take ownership of wanting to save it. I know I do. But when we're interacting with the people that may agree or disagree, or even in the middle, we have to make sure that we're representing ourselves in a clear, in an honest, and sometimes charming and funny way. That's why I try to add some jokes in some of this political discourse, because that's how you win people over, by being logical and being charming and funny. So if someone's yelling at you or calling you names, or you have a niece or a son or an uncle or anyone, an aunt, parents that may hate the president or are just diehard Democrats, union guys, just smile and say, I truly care about my community, and I feel like, particularly in the state of Connecticut, the more that Democrats take out of our pockets, the weaker we are as a family, and to me, that's all that matters. And appreciate their passion and respect their passion. So that would be my Thanksgiving Day message, because it's very important that we don't tear each other apart. Part of the uniqueness of this country is the idea, and we always wrap ourselves around the Constitution and the idea of free speech. We're not going to agree with everyone. In fact, this country was designed to not agree, because when you don't agree, sometimes the best ideas come when you're collaborative. So please enjoy your Thanksgivings with your family, and don't get too passionate, right? Because at the end of the day, across your Thanksgiving Day table, we're not going to solve the world's problem. But you might be able to open someone's eyes and allow them to see your perspective on why you care about your community and why you've been frustrated. This is J.R. Romano, Chairman of the Connecticut Republican Party. Enjoy your Thanksgiving.